All right, everybody, it is time for another segment of Markets A Look Ahead. It is Saturday, May 11th, 2019. Let's talk. So many moving parts here, I really don't know where to begin. I guess with the basics. So we understand that President Trump's alternative plan is in effect. That is, more tariffs on China and taxes on Chinese goods. Okay. Here's the story with regard to that, and I have covered this already, but I'm going to cover it again. Unfortunately, and it should be obvious to most of you, the window here has closed. President Trump honestly should have done what he said he was going to do months ago and institute this alternative deal. That's what he's calling it, an alternative deal. All it's doing is escalating the issue. And we're going to talk more about that too, but it's too late. He needs a new plan. You can't get an old plan dusted off and just start using it in a completely different environment. And this is completely different. There are so many moving parts here. With regard to a bigger piece of the puzzle, it's the Middle East. Look at what's being set up right now. We are sending more warships, more bombers over there as a show of force against Iran. It's all about crude oil. We understand that. This will have a positive effect on the price of crude oil, which is the plan. Understand how simple it is for them to manipulate the markets just by moving around military pieces. No secret, the two largest sectors of this market are financials and energy. If they can keep the price of crude oil higher, which will hit you and me in our pocketbooks, obviously, that will boost the energy sector. And the financial sector, well, they finance it all. So if they can manage to keep these two sectors of the markets buoyed by keeping crude oil high, tensions in the Middle East rising, well, that has the potential to lift the entire market. We also have, and this is a big piece of this puzzle here, all that cash that was repatriated here to the United States, no questions asked. You remember all that? We were promised that these corporations were going to use that cash to build their businesses and hire people. This has not happened. These companies have used that cash to buy back shares of their own stock, hence falsely elevating the stock market. President Trump knew. He's a very calculated man. You have to understand. He's not stupid, and I will broadcast it from the roof of my house or anywhere you want. He's very calculating. He knows exactly what he's doing to keep the market buoyed, keeping the people blinded. Now let's talk about that real quick. And why it's so important to understand another piece of this puzzle that's missing. It's very simple. So we understand this alternative deal, new tariffs, okay? Now if you were just to, right now, and then open another window and just Google the effect on prices for the American people with these new tariffs, you will see it's broadcast everywhere that we can expect prices for a plethora of goods to rise. Okay, well, let me ask you, or those of you that are maybe a little confused, President Trump wants you to understand or believe that China is paying the tariffs. Well, if that's true, then why are our prices going up? You see, we're paying for the tariffs. China is not paying for the tariffs. I've covered this at length in video after video, in article after article, but still, I got people that just don't get it. And it's just, look, it's the lie that bothers me. If President Trump were to say, he hasn't uttered one single syllable about it. If he were to say, listen, everyone, we're engaging in a trade war. That means you are going to have to start paying a little more for things so we can win this war. And, you know, it's going to be good for all of us in the long term. He will not say that, ever. He will twist it and bend it and continue the lie, the narrative that China is paying the tariffs. China is not paying the tariffs. You and me are paying for the tariffs. Look, it's the lie, again, that bothers me. It's not the fact that we're paying more for things. Just don't push the lie down people's throats. Again, it goes back to what they all do, not just him. They are propagators of lies on a grand scale. They cannot let the masses know the truth. And that's what bothers me behind the whole thing. So basically, there's several tools that are being used. Jawboning is a huge one. Yesterday, market was down 360 points, looking like a lot steeper losses were going to come. And then all of a sudden, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin comes out and says, oh, China trade talks were constructive. That's the word he used, constructive. Although, if you were to go like on the South China Post and read their articles, they're saying the talks were fair. That doesn't sound constructive to me. I don't know. All we do know is that the alternative deal is very simple. You and I are paying more for tariffs. That's it. Period. Anyone can spin it how they want, but these are the facts. And you can't argue it. I mean, it's unbelievable. I even asked people. I posted a couple things, an article. I said, argue these points. And you know what? No one did, because I'm only spewing the facts. Okay, facts are what they are. They cannot be changed. The other narrative that is a big lie, and the president should just admit it too, is that we're gaining wealth from these tariffs that China's paying for. It's a joke. The trade gap is creating a monumental hole. It's a $400 billion hole for which we're getting $100 billion in tariffs that you and I are paying for. That leaves a $300 billion hole. He can't tell you that either. All right? It's unbelievable, but it's the truth. So what can we expect moving forward? A lot more jawboning. Now, we're still waiting to see what China's going to do. How China's going to hit back. They're not going to take this and do nothing. Most of our politicians, including the president, want you to believe that China's not going to do anything, because the last time they did, you and I got forced to bail out an entire industry. Farmers. More of that is coming. Now, I explained to you yesterday as well. Because the market may continue to go higher. Again, they're going to try to prop up crude oil, which is going to boost the energy sector, and the financial sector is going to have to finance it. That is a big boost to the stock market, just those two sectors alone. Now, the market understands that the American people will be forced to bail out industries. This is stock market positive. This is stock market positive. The market also understands that our president has been yelling from rooftops about a rate cut. That means the middle class will subsidize the stock market even further. Understand, by the middle class being raped in an environment where their interest earning accounts are earning a negative return. A negative return when you base it against the actual rate of inflation. Well, if the middle class is subsidizing the stock market, what does that do? Pushes stocks up. The president is also calling for quantitative easing for the third time. Let's see if we get a fourth this week. That is also stock market positive, and means that you and I are going to have to pay for that as well. You see how calculated this is? Again, the president in many ways is doing everything he can to foster a war against the American people, while at the same time spinning it in a way that those that will support him no matter what will just, surrender. They'll wave the white flag because they have no alternative. They've been dumbed down to a very high degree. But honestly, if anyone were to look at what I've outlined for you here, it's very hard to argue the points I have just laid out. And again, please, someone out here, argue the points that I just made. Or is everything I just said 100% true? What's not true about what I just said? I really want to know. It's the truth. All right, look, I think this video has been important. I would ask you to please share it if you're on my team, especially. Get it out here. This is where we are, people. and it's going to get a lot worse. And how do we know that? Let's just go a little further here. The bond market. People are whistling past the graveyard. Bond market is warning. It's sending a warning after warning after warning. Yes, I will grant you that the bond market is a very lagging indicator, and I have spoke about this. It can lag for years. It's the truth. It really can. If history is a guide, the bond market can do what it's doing for a while before the stock market catches up with it. But again, with all of these pawns in place here, we got major stock buybacks by all the repatriated cash that our president said was going to go to building businesses and hiring people. No questions asked. Again, I screamed from rooftops about it, and I explained to you that's not what the cash was going to be used for. It was going to be used for stock buybacks. Guess what? Greg was right. Again. I mean, sometimes I scare myself, but it's just so easy to understand. But a lot of people didn't believe it, and I got yelled at. I got argued. Greg, you don't know President Trump. You don't know him. But obviously they do. Well, they didn't. And I'm telling you right now that we're not done seeing the jawboning of the market, Mnuchin coming out. Maybe even the president's going to say that the new talks, because there's no talks scheduled right now. None, from what I understand. But maybe the next round will be tremendous. Yeah. We heard that word many times for the past year. We also heard that how easy trade wars were to win. You remember that? I mean, President Trump rallying. They're easy to win. They're easy to win. Yeah, I guess if you're not Donald Trump, maybe they're easy to win. But if you're him, you can't win to save your life. But you can jawbone that market. You can move the military around to keep crude oil boosted higher. So energy stocks benefit, financial stocks benefit, pushes the whole market up. I mean, look at the game. You can have the middle class subsidize the entire market by lowering rates, more quantitative easing. How is this helping the middle class? How? Anybody tell me, please. I want to, and I will read the comments. With that said, again, please share this video. See you later. See you Monday morning.